Of the 7 deadly American sins, being black has become numbers 1 through 6. If this statement strikes you as radical, you haven't been paying attention. I bet you were surprised when the Martin verdict came in and guilt wasn't mentioned. And let's be clear, this was the Trayvon Martin case. George Zimmerman was never on trial. He murdered a child while we were more concerned with whether or not a boy had smoke in his lungs than the fact that he would never again use them. All over the nation, people claimed this wasn't an issue of race, that the outcome was legally on par, accusing the left-leaning liberal blackjack dealers of once again playing the race card. They asked, what would have happened if Zimmerman were black? Would things have been any different? Well, of course they'd be different. If Zimmerman were black, this would have ended with a prison sentence. You can ask Marissa Alexander about any specifics that I'm missing, because for shooting a ceiling, she was sentenced to more time in prison than Trayvon Martin spent on the face of this planet. We live in a world where a man can be set free after admitting to the slaying of an unarmed teen, and CBS News has the audacity to run a piece headlined by Zimmerman's brother stating that George would now spend the rest of his life looking over his shoulder because, and I quote, there are people who would want to take the law into their own hands. It's funny how some things are so black and white while others just taste like the rainbow. Red like the blood that stained the sidewalk where he fell after being profiled for walking too slowly. Yellow for the son of Tracy and Sabrina that shone bright by day but by night had stopped glowing. Green for the grass stains on pants that hung so low they heightened sensitivities without knowing. Brown for the identity Zimmerman played up for the all-white. Sorry, there was one Latino set that we now consider a diverse jury. White for the privilege Zimmerman wore when he was out doing his neighborhood patrolling. And black? Black is just another name for numbers 1 through 6 of America's 7 deadly sins. And the seventh was ever believing that we would find justice in the hands of a system that pioneered the oppression of the Native Americans, the enslavement of the African people, carried out forced deportations, even though we all know who's really illegal. They gave summer camps to the Japanese. Who needs internships when you have internment? Who needs lower unemployment? We have prisons that turn prophecy. We don't need to fear God when we have capitalism to worship, and we certainly don't need these assholes always getting away in our neighborhood, so watch it, watch it. I was watching a trial that was over long before it could begin, so when the verdict finally came in, all I could hear were the words of the late Dr. King, calling for us to not allow the deafening noise of injustice to drown out the sounds of freedom's ring. So tonight, in honor of his legacy, I ask you this one thing. Please join me in this final call to let freedom ring. Let freedom ring from the rushing rivers of melanin that have overflown into our streams of consciousness so that people now claim we live in a post-racial society. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring from the graves of Emmett Till, Fred Hampton, Sean Bell, Amadou Diallo, Oscar Grant, Trayvon Martin, Jordan Russell Davis, Mike Brown, Azal Ford, and all the other brothers whose names we'll never know, because even in 2014, a black man being killed still isn't enough to make it onto the evening news. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. I said let freedom ring. Free at last. Free at last. Dear God Almighty, this is not the freedom for which we've asked.